I was processing the fact that Paul received a Macedonian vision that would take him from one part of Asia into another part that actually is more towards the European part in Macedonia. And he'd been having a real hard time. In fact, if you read about Paul, he says that I want you to be very aware of the fact that we had a difficult time while we were here in Asia. And we despaired even of life, is his words. But in the midst of that whole process, he's trying to get into this place called Bithynia. And sometimes there's resistance that we face, and we don't understand why there's resistance. And sometimes we're stubborn. We just think we got to keep going in a certain direction. And God says, if you would ask me, I will show you a new way. And sometimes God does speak to us. Sometimes we just don't listen. And Paul has a vision of a Macedonian man calling him, saying, come over here. We need you here now. And they literally took that as an instantaneous response to go. And they went. And so sometimes there are things that we have to understand that God is not against us. He's just trying to get us to shift in a different way. And sometimes our preconceived ideas of what we're supposed to be doing and how we're supposed to be doing it, they limit us because we're not following the Lord. Following the Lord doesn't mean you obeyed once. It means you have to obey every day. It means you have to obey him all the time. That obeying the Holy Spirit is part of the walk of a believer. And so I'm super excited that we get to obey him every day, that his mercies are new every morning, but not only are his mercies new every morning, that his direction is. That sometimes he leads us in a direction because he's saying, I'm just trying to get you moving in that direction. When you get there, it'll change. That's what he did with Abraham. When he was taking his son Isaac to offer him as a sacrifice, he said, I want you to go to the region of Moriah. Didn't tell him to go to Mount Moriah. Said, go to the region of Moriah. And when you get there, I will show you the mountain in which I want you to go. And sometimes we are thinking that God needs to give us all the clarity now. But the only clarity we really need is the clarity to hear him for the day. With that in mind, I'm very excited to be able to share a word that actually Denise Bender had, and it's for Mo, and I know it's for Mo. In fact, as soon as she shared it with me, I was like, this is really important. It's a very important word for us, because sometimes God will take that which has become very recognizable, and he will pick things up and he will turn things slightly because he wants it for his demonstration. During this word, as she gives this word, I want to encourage you to really hear and listen to the part that is for you, because I believe it's a part for many of us in many areas.
Hi, Danny. I was praying for Mo this morning and praying for you, and as I was praying, I saw a mountain, and God's hand just came down on the mountain and lifted up about 2/3 of the mountain, and there was maybe a third of it left down below, and I saw pieces being taken out and replaced with different pieces, and then it's like the whole mountain was shifted in a different angle or a different position, and it looked different than before, and it was put back on. After it was put back on, it was like a gold coating came over it, like maybe painted on or something, over the entire mountain, so that you couldn't see where any of the changes had taken place. You couldn't see. It was seamless, is what I felt like. After that, I was shown a road, and I could see a road out in front of me, and it appeared that the road was straight, and I could see the road ahead, and it just went on up a mountain. But as I was traveling down the road, the closer that I got to this mountain, or the higher part of the road, I saw a dip or a valley in the road, so that it went down before it came back up, and you couldn't have seen that from before. And as I was questioning that, I felt like the Lord was saying that he didn't show it. The vision is still intact with what was seen for Mo, but he didn't show everything because things may have changed, or people may have tried to avoid things, or tried to, and this was necessary. So anyway, as I'm looking at this low part, I don't know, it was like a valley, but it was a low part that had to be passed through in order to get to the other side. There were large rocks, and it was a very difficult area to get through. And I could see Danny going through, and I knew that Danny was able to go through because he was equipped, and I saw a staff. And there were people that were following, and they were able to go through because they were equipped. But there were also people that weren't equipped to go through. And so they either would stay on the other side, or maybe try and then not succeed and have to go back. And I believe, that the Lord was showing me that they weren't able to go through. It would not have been good for them. It wouldn't have been good for the organization for them to have gone on the other side, because they weren't ready. They weren't prepared for what was coming. And also, it was for their own protection, because it wouldn't have been good for them to have been on the other side. Anyway, that's what I saw this morning, and thank you.
Bless you. You have an awesome day.